If you talk a lot in conversations, this psychology fact is going to hurt. Studies show that the more words a person uses to make a point, the less intelligent other people perceive them to be. Not more, less. Your brain thinks that speaking more signals confidence and knowledge. The research says it signals the opposite, that you don't trust your own ideas enough to let them stand alone. And the people in your life who seem effortlessly intelligent, who seem like every word they say carries weight, they are not smarter than you. They have simply learned something about language that most people never figure out. And in the next 4 minutes, I'm going to show you exactly what it is. Psychologists call this the signal-to-noise ratio of speech. And once you understand it, you'll hear every conversation you've ever had completely differently. Here's the core idea. Every time you open your mouth, you are sending two signals simultaneously. The first signal is the content, what you're actually saying. The second signal is the meta-message, what your manner of speaking says about your relationship to that content. And here is the brutal reality that almost nobody talks about. For most listeners, the meta-message lands before the content does. Before they process a single word you've said, they have already formed a judgment about whether those words are worth listening to. Based on pace, pause, precision, certainty, economy, not vocabulary, not grammar, not the complexity of your ideas, how you hold the words. And if you have ever walked away from a conversation feeling like you said everything right but somehow didn't land, this is why. But here's where it gets even worse. The habits that make you sound less intelligent, the filler words, the over-explaining, the upward inflection that turns statements into questions, you didn't develop them randomly. Your brain installed them deliberately, as protection, and understanding why changes everything about how you fix them. Here's the painful part. Most people don't speak the way they do because they lack intelligence. They speak the way they do because somewhere along the way, they learned that taking up space with certainty was dangerous. Think about it. The filler words, like, you know, kind of, sort of, they are not accidents. They are requests for permission. Every says, I'm not done yet, please don't interrupt. Every kind of says, I'm hedging so you can't hold me to this. Every you know what I mean says, please confirm I haven't said something wrong. Psychologist James Pennebaker, who spent 30 years studying language patterns, found that people who use excessive filler and hedging language consistently score higher on measures of social anxiety and fear of negative evaluation. Not stupidity, anxiety, the over-explanation. That's not enthusiasm. That's a nervous system that doesn't trust that your point was enough, so it keeps adding more, hoping that somewhere in the avalanche of words, the listener will find something convincing. The upward inflection, that's not a stylistic quirk. That's your voice literally turning statements into questions, handing the other person veto power over the validity of your own idea. And here is what makes this devastating. The very habits your brain installed to protect you from judgment are the exact habits that invite it. You hedge to avoid criticism. The hedge signals uncertainty. Uncertainty invites dismissal. You over-explain to ensure understanding. The over-explanation signals insecurity. Insecurity erodes authority. You speak more to fill the silence. The silence you feared would have made you sound powerful. Your brain has been solving for safety, and it has been making you sound exactly like what you were afraid of becoming. But here's the part nobody wants to admit. Speaking smart has almost nothing to do with what you know. The most knowledgeable person in the room is frequently not the one who sounds most credible. And the person who sounds most credible is frequently not the most knowledgeable. What separates them is something you can learn in a week. But first you have to accept something uncomfortable about yourself. This happens because of what psychologists call the illusion of explanatory depth. Your brain dramatically overestimates how well it needs to explain something for the listener to understand it. You think, if I just add one more example, one more context, one more caveat, then they'll really get it. The listener thinks, why is this person still talking? Your mind thinks that more equals clearer. The reality is that more equals less confident. Here's what intelligent speech actually looks like from a psychological standpoint. It is declarative. It makes a claim and stops. It does not immediately defend the claim before anyone has challenged it. It uses strategic pause. Research by Adam Galinsky at Columbia Business School shows that speakers who pause before key points are rated significantly higher on intelligence, authority, and credibility than speakers who fill every silence. Because silence signals that you are not afraid of what the listener thinks. That you trust your idea enough to give it space to exist without immediately propping it up. And it is precise. Not simple, precise. There is a difference. Simple means you use small words. Precise means you use exactly the right word, the one that says the thing completely, so that nothing else needs to be added. Mark Twain put it better than anyone. The difference between the right word and the almost right word is the difference between lightning and a lightning bug. The people who sound intelligent are not people who know more words. They are people who know which word to stop at. If that landed, it's because you've been in conversations where you felt it. Where you said too much and watched the weight of your point disappear under the weight of your own words. Here's the truth you've been avoiding. You are not less intelligent than the people who command a room. You have been louder than them. And loudness, in language, is the opposite of authority. If you want to speak smarter, start with the edit. Before you say the next thing, ask one question: what is the minimum number of words this idea actually requires? Not the comfortable number, not the safe number, the minimum. Then say that number of words. And stop. Here's the mental shift that actually works. Treat silence as punctuation, not as a gap to be filled, but as a tool to be placed. After a key point, pause. Not because you've run out of things to say, but because you're confident enough that the point stands without a bodyguard. Specifically, work on 3 things. 1. Replace every and like with a breath. Literally, a breath, not a word, not a sound, a breath. Your brain will resist this because silence feels exposed. That exposure is exactly what authority feels like from the outside. 2. End your sentences on a downward inflection. Statements end going down, not up. Down means, I said a thing and I mean it. Up means, is this okay with you? You don't need their permission for your own ideas. 3. Respond slower than feels comfortable. The instinct is to reply immediately, to show you understood, to show you're engaged. But a 1-second pause before your response signals that you are thinking, not performing. Thinking sounds intelligent. Performing sounds desperate. The most powerful communicators in the world are not the most eloquent. They are the most economical. They say less. They mean every word of it. And they are never afraid of the silence that comes after. You already have the ideas. You just need to stop apologizing for them before anyone has even questioned them. Say the thing. Stop. Let it land. That's it. That's the whole practice.